Dev Stream 9.
Which is also a sick ship name. That's hard to say.
Oh, you tripped out over that there. Oops, I'm playing my own stream. No. Stop. So this dev stream is going to be mainly about logic computers.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to get the build ready. And also about mining computer. But I think I'm just going to play it in single player because the person has no eyes at the moment. So it would be rather terrifying. If it's happening on a person.
I think it's got a certain twisted charm.
It does have a certain twisted charm. I will give you that. I will allow that. I'll allow it. And up I go building. Feel free to pull out any questions from chat. Did I forget?
I shall indeed. I'll keep an eye on the good folks of our chat.
It's building time. It's building time. Yeah, so I'm not going to deploy this build yet. This time as well is going to be in space. Because I think space is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the planet stuff's awesome, but we've been showing a lot of it.
Been showing a lot of it, so I think returning back to space would be really good. So that we can show off that kind of stuff. Right, EO Van Governor.
Did you just say hello, Governor, backwards?
No, I said rightio then, Governor. I wouldn't have been saying hello. I was just saying righty-ho. Right, let's close that down. Boop. Gotta get my Twitch chat up. So it's not Ion, it's Stationeers. That's correct. That is correct. Best setting is Apocalypse setting somewhere in Russia. No, I think we've been there, done that, got the t-shirt for that one. So, the whole purpose of logic computers is to allow us to build complicated machinery. And like I said last week, the use case that we're using at the moment for that is that you're able to smelt ore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and build some machines using the logic computer. So I've made it so that the logic computer can advance between states. So basically we create the logic states, and then once it gets to the end of one, it can then go on to the next state. So it allows you to chain together a series of logic events. People in the chat as well, some of the testers, last night had identified a few bugs, so last night I actually fixed a few bugs as well. But the logic computer is really going to be the thing that allows us to do quite a bit. Depending on how we go and how many bugs we run into, I might then do a bit of live development of... so at the moment you have to put the motherboard in a computer. And when you put it in the computer not only runs the motherboard logic, but it also has a screen that allows you to change it. But it takes up quite a bit of space. So the idea is that we would actually have a small like wall-mounted server unit, so that you can prepare the motherboard on a computer, but then you can actually pull it out of the computer and put it in a small wall-mounted thing that then runs the logic, so that you doesn't take up as much space. So yeah, so I think that's going to be pretty cool to show off. Yeah. Other than that, the idea behind the mining drill was that it's a very long process to have to mine with a pickaxe, and we've wanted something much better for a while. In Space Station 13, once you have all the mining tools, you actually basically automatically collect the ore as you go. So we wanted the mining tool to function in basically much the same way. As you mine stuff, you get, the stuff gets loaded into the mining tool. We still haven't entirely decided how we want that to work. At the moment, it's just a very fast pickaxe, but basically we want to have that pickaxe collect things up, and so it's much easier for you to basically manage, being a miner and stuff like that. It does use up battery power as you go, which is pretty cool. Yeah. What I didn't get in this week was fences, so we were trying to do fences in the game, which will be in for next time as well. So hopefully my game capture is up. Oh, it is, but it's a little big, so we'll just lower this down. And screen mode windowed, so I can still read the chat. There we go, look at that. By the wonders of modern technology. So, let's start a new world. Hopefully, because I introduced a very nasty bug before, so hopefully that doesn't exist. But we'll see. So you can see the asteroids look a lot better now with the altered voxel terrain. It looks way, way, way better. So what I will do is I'll get item mining drill. Item mining drill. Thank you very much. So you can see there's this cute little mining drill. It doesn't work because I don't have a battery in it. So I'm going to get an item battery cell. Actually, item steel frames. We actually need to set up a small spot that we can start building the stuff that we want on. So what I'm going to try doing now is I'm going to try and build basically an automated furnace. That's the thing that I'm hopefully going to build. An automated furnace would be really cool for me to basically do. So we originally had a machine. I think I briefly showed it in one of the previous streams, that you just put the ore into, the ore got smelted and either came out as something new or it got melted in the case of ice. But we felt that it was actually much cooler for you to have to build the stuff yourself, so that's why we're kind of doing this. I'm going to get an automated RTG, so we'll get item RTG. Item RTG. Thank you. And place this down and charge some batteries up. Item battery charger. Item battery charger. It wants me to say it twice. I swear it's just trolling me at this point. Put that there. Item cable coil. New tooltips. So really all I've done with the new tooltips is take the old tooltips and make a slightly different system for them. So it really doesn't have a lot more information, but it has a lot more color. The reason I did that, I started a major refactor and realized that it was going to take ages. So for now I've just made them slightly better, but they have a framework to allow us to do more in the future. So if you see how there's grey text there and yellow text, we're wanting to make it kind of like a lot of the Paradox games, where the yellow text will give you information. When you hover over something for a while, if I hover over this, if I hovered over it for a while, then boom, information would pop up about what this is and what it does and stuff like that. So we really wanted to give a lot more information about how the battery charger and stuff works. Item battery cell. We need to get some batteries charging here, because we're going to use them. And let's get a large battery cell as well. So what we're going to do is also get a logic computer. So item kit computer. I also cleaned up some stuff related to the gee, I'm forgetting what it was called now. Motion sensor. That's what it was. Cleaned up some stuff related to the motion sensor. So I'm actually going to have to rip this up, which is unfortunate, and make a junction.
Well, while you're tearing that up, have you got time for a couple questions from people?
Definitely. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Aww. So, do you think the material batching would introduce some kind of effect on metal frames?
What do you mean? What's material batching?
An excellent question. I may need further clarity from chat on that one.
Yeah, I think, are they meaning like the different metals smelting into different frames? At the moment, we're thinking the object creation process will work like 3D printing. So you'll smelt the materials will go into this fabricator machine, and then from the fabricator machine you can build different stuff. Look at that. Most of our batteries are charged, except for this chap, who is not charged. So
taking a sweet time.
We are going to grab this. I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to turn them on. Now I can turn them on and off from my hands, so you can see he's. And I might actually put it in my other hand so you can see it better. So you can see my little chap here, and oh, he's spinning around, and he's really effective at. And I've got in here, and I'm going to mine these guys. And look.
Oh, cool! You can see the battery on the top.
Yeah, so it's a deliberate thing. So you can see it's slowly using up charge as I go around and do this. So I can gather up all my ore. A few people in the dev team have been a bit concerned this is a bit effective, the mining drill compared to the pickaxe. So it may be. So we might modify it slightly. It's a new word. Yeah. So that's the mining drill. I'm gonna ceremoniously throw it into the asteroid. Bye. Right. Logic computer. So we've got this beautiful little computer here. Oh, he's errored because there's nothing in the motherboard slot. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a logic motherboard. Logic motherboard. Motherboard logic. We got there eventually. So we're going to throw this in here, turn the computer on, and we've got this screen here. This allows us to go up and down. There's nothing there, and this allows us to create a new state. So we're going to create a new state. And we're going to set a condition. At the moment, we've only got the battery charger in, and we should be able to go like this. Off. Concern I have is should be triggering. Hold, please. No. I'm going to try load up a previous one. I don't know why that didn't show up. What should have happened is it should have gone yellow. Yellow, I tell you.
That's why it's live dev, yo. This is
Okay,
happening
it's
in
gone
real
yellow.
time.
So here's one I prepared earlier. For some unknown reason, that other one. Probably because of the order I was inserting it in. So actually, what I set this one up to test is it's actually the logic state machine is actually jumping between these two states. So you've got state 2 and you've got state 1. Both of them just have a condition that console that I looked at there is off, and it's alternating between them. So it shows you how we're able to basically create a state machine. So if I turn that, it's going to stop working, which is basically, yeah. So we're going to use this one because this one is set up. I'm going to delete all that, and because I'm crazy, I'm going to do that. We're going to click that. Yay, we've got an actual state. Hooray, everybody. Hooray. So now we are going to figure out how to use this bad boy. And what we're going to do, item steel frames. Do we have a charger here? Should probably get a charger up. We're going to need it. And item battery charger. So you can imagine when you hover over particularly items like this, having the tooltip's really going to help so that you know what it does. No, that's not going to work there. Oh, and I can't rip it up because I'm going to be out of battery. Oh, life is difficult. Maybe it'll work. Yeah, it worked. I must still have charge in it from previously. Where do I want to put it? Let's put it here. So someone asked about making it so that wires automatically connect. The problem with that is a lot of this is about physical security. So when we're having other people on the station with us now, we want to make sure that they only have access to what they should do. So if you think about it in terms of, if we've placed a floor down, you're not going to be able to access the wires. And if you don't have access to a crowbar and a wire cutter, then you're not going to be able to influence the wires. So it means that you can still deal with stuff. Yeah, Dino, I haven't fixed the battery bug from when you start with the battery. Item battery cell, but if you spawn the batteries in there, okay. Which is what we're gonna do. So we're going to charge these batteries up for when we need them later on. Item steel sheets. Item steel sheet. It's not like when I say S's for some reason. I'm not really sure why that is. Okie dokie. Now we are going to get... we're going to put you back in here. And we're going to build ourselves a little cage. Finish this off. Joy, oh joy. So this is going to be a little cage that we pump fuel into, and we set it on fire using our wonderful logic computer. So item kit airlock. So we're going to make a glass door so we can see what's going on. And item wall kit. Item kit wall. Item kit wall. Yay. And we're going to make a window here. Oops. Bloop. So we haven't got windows or walls blowing up at the moment, so we can just use very light ones to deal with this. Item glass sheets. Yes. Oh, I should probably say what the question was. So there was a question that are there going to be different frame types like corner pieces and that? We've actually got some already. I've just been too lazy to implement them. So there's that. Right. Probably should have thought about wiring this stuff up first. Now I'm going to have to crowbar this open. But that's alright. That's why we have our tools. So we can do this. Thank you. So... I'm going to be lazy and just wire everything together again, like I usually do. So we want to get this to come back out. So we can power it and do all sorts of other magical stuff with it. Oh, yes, J-Rod, that would be fantastic, thank you. J-Rod just asked me if I wanted a coffee. I got gym after this. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning here on a Saturday. So here we go. So we should now have power. Look at that. We've got power. We can open and close this. Yay! Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a gas sensor. Item gas sensor. Item gas sensor. Notice me, senpai. Right. So let's spawn this guy in. It's created a room here. So I don't know whether I'd cover this previously because most people will have been watching us do streams on a planet, but actually the whole game is designed around being in space. So if you see gravity, no gravity. So watch this. It's always fun to do this. So it gets thrown in and there's gravity in here. So we'll refine that mechanic, but for now, basically, if you make something that structurally has structural integrity, then gravity will be turned on. So we're going to chuck a gas sensor in here, just so that we can use it with the logic computer and get it to do stuff. So I'm going to put this on. Oh my god, I'm going to scroll through everything and find the thing that I want. I'm going to leave a lot of wires around because we're going to be putting a lot of stuff on the walls. So that's our gas sensor that we want. And actually I'm going to rip up all this stuff here because really we don't need all that around there. Hopefully I still have my drill. Yes, I do. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Also you, and also you. Let's pick these up, collect them all. It's like Pokemon, but active vents. Oh, now those random wires are giving me some OCD there. So now we have to decide how do we want this to work. I reckon it would be cool if when we shut the door, it automatically does stuff. So we're going to add a condition in here, and we're going to say condition, and we're going to find the glass door, which we have, and we're going to say open is false. So if open is false, it's going to trigger our condition, which is what we want. And we want to start the process then. And the first action we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set open. Actually, we should be able to lock it. Dean hasn't put locked in. That's fine. We can turn the power off. Dean is going to write down a note and talk to himself in the third person. So allow locking on action. That's a super easy thing for me to add to the game, which is pretty cool. So I made myself a little sticky note there. So we're going to turn the glass door off so that we can't change things that we don't want. So that's going to be our first state, and I really should make it so you can minimize that because now this is going to get pretty full up. So the next state, which we're going to want to advance to here, the next state is going to wait for, whoops, the next state we're going to want to base on the gas sensor, and we're going to want to do it actually, so we're going to want to, when the door is closed, we're going to turn the power off, and then we're actually going to want to have it start releasing gas. So we're going to grab one of these active vents here, and we're going to throw it down here, and we're going to get it to fill it up with our gas that we want. And then we should probably have an exhaust one as well. Ooh, cough, cough, splutter, splutter. We could just vent the room with the door, but... So here we go. We need to wire these up so that we have power. And take it from this side. So thinking about where you put the cabling is really important. Well, not just the cabling, but the piping, and I've been working on the disposal pipes as well. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you have to think about.
So while you're wiring that up, good sir, Chad have been asking about what you could do to protect your logic computer from erroneous individuals. Yeah,
so obviously it's all about physical security, so about where you place it, and depending on how I went in, if things completely break in the stream, I was going to actually continue my work on making a wall-mounted server. So instead of it being this big computer like this, you actually just take the motherboard out and plop it into something that's about the size of the APC, so that, and you could place that anywhere you wanted. You could even place that inside a wall frame. Okay, so that should now be all on, but these guys will be erroring. So that's given me those. Now I'm going to add another cool little bit. Item igniter. Testing out that Kiwi accent. Yeah. So we're going to chuck an igniter on here as well, so we can set the room on fire. So for this state here, when the door is shut, it will turn the power off on the door. Then we want to get it to, now we don't know which active vent's which, so we should probably deal to that. Item labeler. So we're going to name this stuff so that we can see it a little bit easier. Oh, that's kind of annoying. Oops. Oops. I'm going to write that up as a bug. So tooltip, please go away when input. Lots of delicious, delicious bugs for us today. So we can't really read that, but this is going to be exhaust vent. And this is going to be, oh god, kind of mashed the keyboard there a little bit. Input vent. There we go. We got a URL back. I mashed the keyboard there to an extent. Oops. I blame everybody. Right. So now in here, now we want to go not exhaust vent. Thank you very much. We want to go input vent, and we want to turn the input vent on. We also want, we can sort of pre-prepare it actually. So input vent can be set to inward, set to outward. So it's going to plop out whatever is inside of it. We want to get dynamic crate pipe supplies. Thank you. Item wall light. Item wall light. We also want to put some lights around because it's getting annoying. The sun's below us, so let's put some lights so that we can see, and that's not going to work there. Darn it. How do I get... Oh, yeah. Tee-hee-hee. I'm going to run out of battery in this soon. Cables. Now we need cables. So yeah, we're gonna have fire soon. Actually, we're gonna have some delicious fire, which will be great.
Tasty.
Crispy even.
You got time for some questions while cabling?
Certainly.
So I've got a really good one which was posted earlier, which is, have you considered having a wireless signalling system like in Space Station 13?
I have. I'm not actually a fan of the wireless system, just because you don't have the same physical security that that this gives you. So you can be a lot more dependable about where stuff goes and what happens. Item wire cutters. Item wire cutters. So yeah, I think we will have that for some things, but most stuff we want to have it to be about placing the cables in the right spot. There we go.
Very cool. There's another question which popped up earlier, but it's very Space Station 13, so I'm probably going to butcher the names here. Would you go for Atmosa, Cargenia, or the Honk Mother?
Is this what if we had wars or whatever? Right. Okay, we need pipes.
And I need Region here to tell me how all these Space Station 13 names are.
Yeah, he'll be sleeping. Okay, so this is a bit of a problem, but no, yep, we can go that way. Okay, that's good. So we are going to pipe and oh no, we don't want to link them up. Good point, Dean. So let's put that there. We don't even need that one. Oh dear. We want to run a pipe out, and this pipe is going to be where we pump our fuel and stuff like that in. So I am going to run it to the side, like say. Where are we? So disposal pipes are coming quite soon. That's something I'm very fond of in Space Station 13. I don't know if other people are. So I've actually been working on those for a while. Peter's going to work on making actual cool devices and not crappy Dean art. So that will be nice. And we need a pipe connector. And actually, we'll need 2. So we should change the mix. We should be fancy about this. So let's just plop that there. Oops. That's one way to put it in. item gas mixer, item gas pipe mixer. Close enough. Not. I can't remember what it's called. So obviously this dynamic spawning system is not how we intend it to work going forward. It's just a temporary measure until basically you can manufacture stuff. Gas mixer, there we go. So we want to basically be able to mix stuff. We're going to need a little bit more space here, aren't we? Item steel frames. And where is it here? So we grab that. Item tank connector. Item tank connector. And we get ourselves a pipe again. I still got that in my hand, so that's good, but we'll need a corner as well. So this will allow us to basically regulate the amount of fuel that's coming into our machine. And so what's going to happen is we're going to turn on the input, and then we're going to wait for the gas sensor to get to the desired pressure that we want. I was just going to throw it away, but I figured, you know what? I should actually be organized about this. So yeah, we had talked about having better ways to do cabling, because you know it is kind of a pain at the moment. But we are just going for simplicity at the moment with the project. Whatever is just basically the easiest for us to deal with. So 50-50 mix, which is exactly what we want. Maybe let's not turn it on first. Item pipe meter. Item pipe meter. We'll put a couple of gas meters on this so that we can see what's going on. Nothing in those pipes. And we'll chuck one on here so we can see what's being outputted. So, dynamic gas canister oxygen. Dynamic gas canister oxygen. So, fire for us is going to be I should think about this a little bit. Fire is going to be oxygen and hydrogen. So that should now need us quite a lot of pressure. Yep. Whew. Quite a lot, actually. Hopefully not enough to break those pipes. No, I increased that, that's right. And now we're going to get the other part of our fuel. And we're going to mix them together. And we're slowly getting some gas appearing up in there. Oh dear, it's not. I should probably put a pressure regulator in here somewhere. But that's fine. Let's just give it a little bit more. Okay, that's too much. But that's cool. Hopefully it doesn't blow. Might get a rude awakening otherwise. So I'm just going to kind of do phase 1. So when we're and then we'll just see how that goes. So what we've got it doing is input vent is on. So it's going to turn it on. It's going to turn the door off. The second stage so actually we want an additional condition in here when so no, we're turning that. No, that's okay. Yeah, we're turning the action. We're turning the input vent on. So then, basically, once the pressure not equals, once the pressure is greater than, once it's greater than input vent. That bug's still there. Let's say once the pressure is greater than 50 kilopascals. We don't need a lot of fuel inside the room. Then we're actually going to turn off the input vent, set its power to off, and we're also going to set the igniter to on. And we're going to watch what happens. So I think I should now be able to close the door and we'll watch what happens, but we're going to save it first. Nothing happened. Oh my god, what happened? Not sure what's going on there. Let's try that again. Nothing. Okay. We did have some air go in there. If we open this, did we get some atmosphere? No. Weird. Let's try to turn this on. Let's shut this. Can try delete this again. We could have a bug here. We could have a bug. So let's try, what action can we see here? Let's try to turn this console on and off, which is what I was doing for testing purposes. So if glass door power is on, okay, we wouldn't have seen that, would we? Right, I think I know what the problem is. It's not resetting the conditions, sadly. Yeah. Dope. Okay, so there's a pretty big bug in there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you how that works. But you get the idea. So we might be able to do that for the next one. Wait, is it? Looked like the glass door that was turning on and off. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe we don't have enough power. So yeah, so basically, oh dear, I'm still turning that on and off. I think I haven't turned off navigation on that. See, I'm not sure why the state machine isn't running. It was running before. So we saved this. I might save this again. Whoops. What I could do, I'm going to try ditch this. Motherboard logic. Let's try throwing a new one. Yeah, so see, it's not activating the first state. I'm not entirely sure why. Let's put it in again. Try to turn it on and off again. Yeah, so I need to research why we're not starting the new state. What I will do is I will go into Unity while we're here, and I will test it inside that. And via the wonders of modern technology, you can watch as well. So hopefully we get a little bit more idea as to what's going on. Okay, so see, so that time it actually triggered it. So it might be something related to the editor, possibly. So let's just try turn that off. And if we go, if Glassdoor power is off, whoops, and then turn it on. Yeah, so see the condition here is already triggered, which is the problem. So it's basically not resetting it. And I think I know why that is. So I'm going to go in and do this in here, and you all can... actually, I'm going to fix it later on. It'll take me a while. So I think I have to go to the gym shortly. So thank you for joining the dev stream, where we show off the Logic computer. I will continue doing that later on. I might even stream this when I get back from the gym. I might stream some of my development. So basically in an hour's time I might try and fix that bug live so that people can actually see it going, and we might actually splice these dev streams together. So I think for a lot of the Europeans who joined us, it's pretty late. So they might not join me after the gym. But for everybody else who's just getting up, we'll see you when I get back from the gym. I can do about that, sadly, because it's sunny. Sunny, I tell you. So, there was a problem. There was a big problem. And I'm going to do window capture, Visual Studio. So the big problem I was having, let's see, can I make this bigger? I can, let's do that. Oh, I should bring up chat, shouldn't I? Here we go. I just have to get all my stuff laid out correctly. Layout's very important. Turn off the bloom and God rays and settings. Yeah, pretty much. So let me just tweet out extended. I tweeted it. I tweedledeed and tweedledummed it. Right. So the problem I was...
done the tweet.
I have done the tweet. So the problem we were having is with the Logic motherboard. And I know what the issue is. The issue is I set it so that when it gets triggered, the Logic motherboard got really complicated and has been quite complicated for quite a while. So what I have to do... For starters, I want to get rid of that. Don't like having debug log messages in because writing to the log file is kind of bad. Notice how none of this is commented either. The Logic motherboard was a really big job, and it's a little nasty. So what am I doing here? Right. I just want to have chat up so I can read chat. Oh, it's Kiwo. Hi, Kiwo.
Now it's a party.
Who likes to party? Who likes to party? I need to show Kiwo how to play the game at some point. We are actually going to do a tutorial. I'm going to do quite a detailed tutorial. I'm hoping to use that mode to allow people to create, like, missions, I guess, or quests and stuff like that. So I want to do that. But the game, as you saw from the stream, is still very pre-alpha. That's why we're not even selling it yet. So what happens is when it gets triggered, the triggering actually happens on a thread. So we do all nasty stuff on a separate thread, which means your game execution doesn't get paused and it doesn't affect the frame rate. So then what I do in here is I run on an on-triggered event on the main thread, and notice that most of this only happens on the server. So what I need to do, there are a couple of things we wanted to do from the stream. One of them, we wanted to be able to lock stuff. So, oh yeah, that's good. People can read that better then. So can I. So what we want to do, I did this, I think it's a pretty cool system. A very generic system where all objects have these particular things called interactions. And it allows us to really quickly make new objects. And on this dev stream, I'm going to create a new object, and I think it's going to be, if chat's cool with it, a solar detector. So it will do a light detector. So might call it solar detector because it's not going to detect headlamps. But so basically a daylight sensor, that's what I called it. See, I did the little thing there. So we've got a motion sensor which detects if there's motion an object inside a square. We're going to do a daylight sensor which will do the same thing. So that's one thing that's going to happen in the stream. But what I want to do is I want to add a lock mode to this. So we're going to add lock in here. I think it's called locked. Actually, we need to make sure we give this a unique number. There. So now we need to find all the places this is used, and we need to add it so that the game knows what to expect. So I'm just going to bring this up here and go through. So we have conditions. So in here, this is where, so I don't want to add everything through because there's some things that shouldn't be. But what we're going to do is we're going to add in another case here for locked. So what lock's going to do is when the condition drop down is changed, it's going to set the value to that. So that's good. So rather than asking for a new value. So then now we need to go through and find other places where it's in. So in here, this is when it's triggered. What is it going to do? So we need to add in a special case in here for locked. And this is where, see, we have this interact remotely system. So we're going to, and Dean was wrong, it's called lock. So we're actually going to go through and we're going to rename this. Just try and keep things consistent. It's called lock. So there we go. So what it's going to do is it's going to remotely do that. And notice how this says command. So we've been very particular about doing everything on the server. So the server is authoritative about like everything. I'm just going to post an all. I've had coffee and I've been to the gym, so I am freaking out. I'm just going to spam. Spam in the Space Station 13 Discords, yeah. And there we go. Right, so what am I doing? So I've added this lock in here, so that means that when it gets triggered, if the logic type is set to that, it will run. But there's still a lot of places that we need to add this. Like in here, this is a cess, so again, we need to do the same thing. This is used by oh god. See, is locked, and this is where we have to do basically what's in here. Is locked will be that value equals 1. We need to, there'll probably be a few more places that we need to check. No, that's okay. And in here, Drop down action change, same deal. I really wish I could do macros in this. This is quite important here. This is where I'm going to be populating basically the options for it. Wow, this looks really different. I'm sure I added a couple of these together. Maybe I reverted that. So this, for example, here can go, and because this is exactly the same as that. And populate values. Huh. Oh, it's for action, that's why. So we can add in a second case in here as well. And where are we? This is for condition, same deal, lock. So this, oh yeah, so we need to add a new, we try and cache out our states as much as possible, just so that basically we're doing a lot of stuff threaded, so we can't grab it off the main thread. So I'm just going to add has lock state in there. And has lock state. I think this is the last bit here in screen condition. Yes, so I tidied this one up previously. So lock allows us to do equals or not equals. And I think there's one more spot in here. Maybe one more spot. Let's just check this one. We need to do the same thing that we did for that other one. Lock. Because we really needed the lock to be able to tell, to be able to set the door as to whether or not it's locked. So we want to set it to true false, and I actually just want to check that the same thing is in here. Yep, true false. Good. Good. Lock is in there. Awesome. So that should now be done. Now I want to go and find the issue that I was having before. Not that. And so I was only turning the triggering system off when it was moving to the next state. So if it was the same state, it wasn't changing. So what I might do is, where are we? On reset. And when is on reset called? And when is this called? So I really need to hunt down why. So that's the one place that we do it there. So here it should set that. So basically what I really need to do is on reset, I should be doing that. And I think that one line of code was the source of problem. So it's really hard for me to see the screen because of the sun. It's a beautiful day outside. There's whiteness. Oh, now I've ruined it. It's ruined, I tell you. It's like really sweaty. Ugh. Hello chat. Hello Wed67. It's a mighty unusual name. Right. I have to... So much to do. There we go. So I'm going to test it out in the editor, obviously. And Let's try this one. So what we should see is that little thing up there should go away. And let's try turning the console off. But it doesn't. Curious. So let's just try as well deleting this. Whoops. Console power on, just so we can see what's happening. And it's still not activating. Why is this? What about if I do this? Will we see it advance to the next state? That is the question. So it's sort of a pain to hunt down a lot of these things. I could just make a button that resets it. But notice how that condition there is not resetting. That says that something's going screwy with the on reset system. Well, hold on. Okay, so that's crazy because yeah. So basically that wouldn't work at all. So I need to figure out why. So when it gets getting triggered, that's going through and doing that. If net state doesn't equals this, go back and do that. I think I was pausing it. True. Pausing it is pause false. Wow, one thing that's a concern. I think it's always paused. That's not good. In fact, I would say that's possibly bad. So I added this in last night as a last minute change, and I think that's exactly the problem. So what we actually have to do is go through and set as paused equals false. No, okay, so yeah, that's fine. No, yeah, that's fine, because as paused will be false. So it should be running it. As triggered will run, it will go down here. So it's going to be really annoying to find out why this is doing this. So what I really need to do is I need to start logging this. So we need to see whether this is even running, whether it's running a lot, stuff like that. So a lot of people have you know, a few games that have sort of gone down the route that we're going down have looked very much at doing sort of hardcore, like if you look at Factorio, you can build the deciders, you can build the you know, all the very specific sort of logic pieces and actually build your own machines. Quite sort of hardcore programming. Prison Architect as well had like and/or gates and stuff like that. With Stationeers, I decided to go try and pack as much into the sort of basic thing as possible. So yeah, so see, it's triggering itself here. Someone had said before it's only triggering on load, which is a good point. So we need to figure out why that is. So if we do this, it's not resetting. Why is it not resetting? So let's go and have a look at the object. Oh God, there's so much stuff in the scene here. Computer. Let's look at motherboard logic here. So on the motherboard, it's currently paused. If we do that, So for some reason, it's remaining paused. I don't know why. So if you see over here, it's paused. And that's why it's failing to run. So we need to find out why that is. And I will have done something very, very stupid. So if it's paused, wait for seconds, real time, has authority. This makes no sense, because it should just wait a second. Okay. So, yeah, very stupid. We need to do this. Again, 90% of this is me doing something really, really stupid. So let's try this. I think there's some kind of political discourse going on in chat at the moment.
They're talking about Gagarin.
I see. Right-io then. So when I turn this off, yes, it resets. And let's just check and see. If I turn this on, it goes. Now let's just check what the hell's going on in here. Okay, that's good. Still don't know what's going on in here. This should really be outputting. Ooh. Oh, that would be setting outward. So at the moment it was set to inward. Oh yeah. Oops. We kind of pumped out a lot of gas. And actually we've got a leak. I might just repair the leak. Oops. Good old take the backpack off trick. Item duct tape. Item duct tape. So we're in business, people. I think the bug is fixed. I think it's kind of hard for people to see what's going on. So what I might actually do is build this out, and then so I'm going to save this. I'm actually going to build out the game so that I can play it without people not being able to see the screen properly. Oh dear, we've got the Unity's being weird. I'm going to remove that. Yes. And I want to add it again. Whoa. And I need to... Oh my god, so much to do when you're streaming. Video capture device. So you can see my beautiful face. There we go. I haven't noticed what? Oh, Brian's here. Brian's here! Yay! Brian, everybody! At Brian Hicks, it would be nice to have a gas chamber in the game. It's going to end well. Right, I'm going to build this. So, to sort of explain what was happening before, and go through some of my messy code. Visual Studio. Order, move down. There we go. So yeah, the logic motherboard is really, really complicated. At other levels, it's much simpler. But what we're actually trying to do is prepare the project for several phases. I was talking to the team about this before. So early on, we're just going to add stuff to the game. So we're just really focused on adding heaps of cool features, lots of new stuff, but kind of one of everything. Not much variation because we just sort of want to get it working. Then we want to add, we want to go back and look at refactoring. So we're going to rip out things like how we're using some of the Unity's high-level API for networking. We're going to rip that out later on and put in other stuff. I need to move up my game capture. I can just do Control up. That's kind of handy. Look at that. Huh. So I built out the game now. Now we're going to do the actual system that we wanted to in here. So how much gas we got? Heaps. So I'm going to delete this again. I'm going to see what happens. Yay! It seems to be working. I'm just going to turn that off because that flashing's bothering me. So the first condition we're going to have is that door is closed. So where are we? Glass door open is false. And then the action we're going to do is we're going to lock it. Yay, lock's there. And lock is going to be set to true. So what it's going to do, the minute we close that, it is going to lock the door. Oh yeah, see, I've got to change that. Yeah, I need to do some work on that, but we're still having that thing coming up. So Brian Hicks from who I work with on DayZ posted in chat. I was recently asked, what is the nature of your relationship with Dean Hall? To which I replied, well, whenever I win an argument, he gets his mum involved. So he picks on me, and I threaten to tell his sister, so yeah, no, it's all good. Nice. That's pretty accurate. Yeah, it would be about 1 a.m. and maybe even later in Prague at the moment. Right. So the idea of these logic states, this is one of the most simple logic machines that we're going to have. If you look at circuit boards that are existing in game, they're pre-programmed systems. So previously in previous streams, and you can see on the RocketWerkz page, we've shown how you build pre-built systems for airlocks and that. This allows you to do your own custom stuff, but it's still only linear. So it will move from this state to this state to this state, and then maybe back to that state. You can't have branching. You could make several computers and several motherboards that kind of compete with each other if you wanted to do branching. But at the moment, you're stuck with this. So immediately at the same time we're locking the door, we want to open up our input vent. So we want to do input vent high power on. So we're going to turn the input vent on, and then we're actually going to have a new state. And the new state, send it to state 2. I haven't got it. That button's going to be for renaming the states, but I haven't got there yet. So the second state will be our waiting for the ignition. So we're going to take the gas sensor and we're going to wait for the pressure to be greater than, and I think last time I said 50 kilopascals. So you can see there's a little cross. It's not at that yet. Once it is at that, then we want to ignite it. And then we want to have an additional state. We've got 3 states now. So that's our ignition stage. So we're going to want to make sure this goes to stage 3. And stage 3, we're going to wait for the temperature in there to be greater than, now I don't actually know whether this is in Kelvin or anything else, but we're going to pick a really high temperature anyway. I think it's in Kelvin. So we're going to wait for the temperature to be greater than Why does that say true? Okay, that seems like a bug. Let's just save the game and let's have a look at the code. How do I do this? So we need to look at temperature. I might not have even hooked this up. Look at that. Didn't hook it up. So what we need to do in here, this is populate value, so it's pulling in the default, which is fine. What we actually need to do is go into here and we need to look for the spot where I think it was called assess. Here we go. Where it's going to assess the condition. So I think what we'll find in here, yeah, there's not one for temperature. There's only one for pressure, internal, external, and pressure. So we need to make a new one for temperature, because basically it wasn't checking that at all. So this is going to be a little complicated because, again, we're going to want to figure out whether it's a sensor or a I don't know why. Oh yeah, okay. I kind of need to clean this up, but for now I'm just going to keep it messy. Let's just copy and paste this in so that it's nicely formatted. I don't know why it's being weird like that. Don't be weird. So we actually want to call this temperature. And off the gas sensor, we're going to get temperature. And I think, look at this, naughty Dean is naughty. Dean should have said whether this is Kelvin. Pretty sure it's Kelvin. Pretty sure. Where are we? Can you control this? Commander Animus asked if we can control the solars through the computer. Not yet. So the only motherboard that exists at the moment is the logic motherboard. And actually, you know what? I'm going to write that in. So I'm going to write solar. Well, you could do some. I'm not sure. I need to double check that one. Some people are saying the most important thing right now is the clown costume. Probably true. So now we need to get temperature again. Wait a minute. Okay, so this is naughty. It needs to be air temperature, because temperature would be the temperature of the thing itself, although we're not actually using that yet. This all needs to be commented. Naughty, naughty, naughty. But I'm just going to copy this for the moment. We just want to get it working. We can tidy it up later on. So I'm a little concerned because this is going to be in Kelvin, and that might be confusing to people. So I could actually take that away, but I'm not going to. I don't think. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. So what this will do is, it's in Kelvin, and yeah, I should be able to clean that up. I'm really tempted to put it back to Celsius. Later on we'll have it so you can switch between Celsius and Fahrenheit for those North Americans amongst us. It's just because most of the rest of the game is reported in Celsius, so I just feel a little uncomfortable having it in Kelvin, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at the moment. So again, we're going to build that up. Is there going to be a field of view slider? Well, I'm glad you asked that, Fly High Tay. There already is a field of view slider. Am I blowing your mind? There is a field of view slider. In fact, not only that, but you can use plus or minus in the game to change your field of view live. But that's more for like cinematic mode at the moment, like you can hide all the UI and stuff like that. Yeah, we had to add the field of view slider in because there were a few people on the team getting motion sick playing the game. So that's a one way that can help a little bit with it. Uh-oh. I have to... Whew! I nearly forgot to close down the game. Right. So if I turn on game capture here we go. This now should work correctly. Fingers crossed. So let's scroll down. State 2. I don't know why it's saying that's triggered. It's just, that's kind of weird. So state 2 was pressure. Maybe, oh, I don't think I saved it. I'm just going to do this just to see if it resets it. No. Let's see if it runs. I think it should. I actually just want to check one more thing. So when we advance, I want to make sure that we're resetting are we actually advancing to the next state? I mean, where does that even happen? Here we go here. So what I'm concerned about is this here should be reset. And that should hopefully happen immediately. I think. So we need to rebuild that. Yeah, so Fly High Tai said, as a PC gamer, having lots of game options is super important, and an FOV slider is, in my opinion, absolutely necessary. True. So we're hoping to add lots and lots of config options. So basically all the public variables we have in the game, we're hoping to expose to like an INI file or something, so that you can even change like gravity constants, you can change the tick rate for our managers, like atmospherics and stuff like that. So there's another good question, hard question, but do you focus on co-op with friends game or on big public servers? Very good question. Currently, we are focusing almost purely on co-op with friends. That's because we need to find the fun initially. And if we scope the game really big, there's a danger that we say we want to do all this stuff and we can't do it because, let's say, maybe we sell 25,000 copies of the game. If the game became quite popular during the early access development, then we would look at other ways we can support it and throw even more resource at the game. But at the moment, we want to keep the scope small and manageable. So that means focusing mainly on co-op with friends, or at the very, or maybe, for example, so we've already added banning and kicking tools and stuff like that, allowing server hosts, people hosting it, whether yourself or whether through a company or something, giving you lots of tools to whitelist and blacklist and stuff like that. So lots of server management tools, so that I do think that you'll still be able to run public servers, but that's not going to be a focus for us for a start, because that's a huge ask for us to make. No, I'm not actually building, I got so carried away. Right, now it should be building. Gosh, add Unity back, gets all weird.
Or another question was if there would be anti-cheat. So actually there already is anti-cheat. So Valve anti-cheat is enabled. You can actually see that in a little Unity log here when I start up, I think. Somewhere in here. Usually it says like Valve anti-cheat enabled. So we're already using Valve anti-cheat, which is VAC, which is useful at catching some of the scripts that so cheat engine and stuff like that are running around. Because the game is server authoritative, that means that, so for example, atmospheric managers only run on the server. So all those atmospheres that exist in the game are only being calculated on the server. And that data is being sent to the client. So let's say, for example, you write a hack so that your character's lungs always have oxygen in them. It doesn't matter, because your client is never sending that information back to the server. And in fact, the health state of your character is calculated on the server based on what the server thinks is in your lungs. So that's a very important way. Now, we didn't actually build it like that purely for security reasons. We bought that for performance reasons and simplicity reasons. But it's a nice kind of byproduct of it. So, where are we? So, I can't even remember what I was doing. Oh, that's right. So, when it advances, it's kind of annoying how it's doing that, how it's saying it's triggered. I think I set it to do that by default, but I'll stop that. So, this one is when the pressure is greater than 50, ignite. This next one is going to be, excuse me, when 50 pressure is greater than 50. What were the actions we were doing? Oh, the igniter's on. And this one is going to be if the gas sensor temperature is greater than, and this is in Kelvin, I'm going to say 500 Kelvin, so a few hundred degrees. Yay, and we've got a little cross there, which is important. So I need to fix that tick. I don't think that tick's actually true. So if once the temperature gets to that, then we want to turn off the, actually, we want to turn off the input vent earlier. So you can see where this is really handy. So basically, once the pressure gets to 50 degrees, should really be able to drag and drop these too. Oh, I forgot, you can actually drag that. That's quite cool. We actually want to turn off the input vent at this point because there's no point in us putting more stuff in. So we're going to turn off the input vent, and it'll ignite, and hopefully it gets, whoops, hopefully it gets, so then once the temperature is greater than that, we will turn on the exhaust vent. And it'll be also good, I'm thinking of having a timer one, so, well, later on with different logic controllers that will be like, there'll be branching options and stuff like that. The game doesn't, we've decided not to do a third-person camera just because it makes the game so much more complicated. Because you can build stuff all around, we have problems with, excuse me, camera collision geometry as it is. So doing third-person is just even more problematic. So if there's one takeaway that people get from the stream, it's that the difference with this game is I see a lot of amazing games. So Astroneer, fantastic. Space Engineers, amazing, beautiful. There's a game, StarMade, you've got Terraria, you've got, there's a really good game that I would encourage people to check out because it looks amazing. There's Tech Compliant, which a guy is working on, which I really like. Sky Wanderers. So I would check out Sky Wanderers. But a lot of these games are going for what are not quite as hardcore, I guess, as I'd like. So what I want is I want something that's all about systems. And I think I'm going to change the Steam store page to reflect this. Imperium, another great game. I wanted this to be about connecting the systems together and building efficient systems. So taking a lot of Factorio and chucking it in with Minecraft, basically. Take Feed the Beast, but take it, which is a mod for Minecraft, and make it bigger. So that's really important really important. So I got carried away there. So now once the temperature is greater than 500, turn the exhaust vent on. Now at the moment, the exhaust vent is, so that needs to be set inward, and this needs to be set set outward. So red is out. I should really change that to like an arrow or symbol or something. So now we need to vent this out into space. I mean, honestly, we could just open the door. It's much of a muchness, right? But let's do this properly. Let's do this properly. So this is probably going to break the pipe, actually. I think the pipe does have safeties on it, though. So, but I don't know whether the safeties are actually activated. So I need to make these handles bigger. Oh, panic. Item gas canister nitrogen. Whew. So, oh well. Dynamic crate pipe supplies. So another good thing that maybe a lot of people don't realize is, so at the moment you can see I have an air tank and a waste tank. What's actually happening is, oh, my thing's not functioning because it's injured, so I'll just fix my leak. So what's actually happening is, if you look up on the top there, why isn't that working? Is that number increasing? I'm going to try flushing my helmet. For some reason, the temperature stays the same. So I don't know why, but for some reason, the temperature is not being lowered in my spacesuit. But that's okay. It's a little weird. What happens if I get rid of my waste tank? That temperature should start going up. Maybe there's something weird going on. Anyway, one bug at a time. So, because the atmospheric system's definitely working. So we've got that there, and oh gosh, Dean's just smashing everything all out of the way. So we're going to pump out all of that exhaust into here. So item active vent. Item active vent. So we're going to check an active vent here. We'll need to power it as well. And I think I have some leftover cable coils. I'm just going to try increasing my helmet pressure, see if that's... So, I mean, it's working. Okay, so that's really weird. I don't know why, but for some reason, my my air conditioning unit stopped working. I have no idea why. But if you saw that, so now what is actually happening is, as I heat up inside my suit, my that energy is being transferred to my waste tank, and in addition with the carbon dioxide I'm breathing in and out. So let's... I'm going to make this process much better. Space Engineers has a great mechanism for turning stuff back and forward. So it's currently set to release. So it will take from this side and release. And actually that's a great point. Someone brought up a good point. This should really not be a passive vent. An active vent. This should be a passive vent. Definitely. Because otherwise the pressure is going to build up massively. So goodbye. Item passive vent. Yeah. Chat were exactly right. So we don't actually need power for that. Should probably rip that up so we don't get confused. Okay. So, we've got our passive vent here. We've got our exhaust vent here, which is going to suck the air in, and then it will get ejected out here. This is going to release the air. Wait. Yeah, that's it wrong. So this is going to release the air into here when we've got it going. This is our igniter there. That's our gas sensor that's going to do the detection. And everything should be very, very good. So basically it's going to turn the exhaust vent on. We're going to add a new state in there. And this is going to advance itself to here. Then once the pressure is... We're not going to go for 0, although that would work. We're just going to open the door once the pressure gets below 1 kilopascal. We're going to go right back to the first one, because what we're going to do is we are going to set the glass door lock to false, and then we're going to glass door open to true. I think. So this should make a linear loop along. We're going to save it in case I break everything. And see what the heck happens. I have no idea whether this is going to work. Okay, something's happening. It's filling with gas. Definitely filling with gas. So it's gone through state 1. It's in state 2. Oh, it ignited. Oh, it's continually igniting. I don't know why. Oh, that's why. Oh, dear goodness. Okay, go to state 3. And it's venting. It worked, everybody. Woohoo! So, there's some UI problems. It's not showing us whether stuff is ticked or not. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. So in here, why is air... Is it just disappearing? We really need some kind of indicator. I think I should put a sensor in there. I should put a... Actually, we can do that. So let's... This is all on the same network. So what we should do... I don't know whether the pressure is actually reducing in there, so we should whip this off. By circuit board gas display. So we're going to chuck this in here. Grab this. And I think it's all ready to configure. So we're going to grab the gas sensor, and so for some reason, I think it's because, so for some reason it's not, I think it's because of the safeties are set wrong, possibly. Wait, state 2 to state 4, no. No, state 3. Oh. So I don't know why that's not working. We've got water in there as well. That should be taking air into the pipe and releasing it here. What I'm going to do is, whoops. I mean, I think it is releasing, just very slowly, which is kind of annoying. So, maybe is it because that one's turned on? What I guess we could do, we can't put a passive vent in there. I think it's safety related, so we need to change the pressure internal and pressure external for one of these states. Exhaust vent power is on, and we need to do exhaust vent. Now I think pressure internal, whoops, pressure internal needs to be set to 0, and exhaust vent, really we only need to do this once. Pressure external just needs to be set to a very high number, so it will output as much as it wants. I actually have a mode prepared for this where you can see the names of the states with like arrows between them, so you can see where it is. But yeah, so we'll just have to wait. That's going to take quite a while. What I could do is let's sort of just give it a little bit of a push. That's one way to get it down. So we should see that turn off and the door open, or not turn off. Okay, so we'll just turn that off ourselves. So we forgot something from there. So once it gets less than that, in here we also need to add exhaust vent power off. Yep. So you can see, rather than in Factorio or in more of these logic games, you have to do heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of, you'd have all these different components and logic and or gates and that. I wanted to kind of get past that. I think with games you've got to pack a real specific vision. So with this game, I see that as being like the systems. It's the broad systems that matter most in terms of how this works. So that's what we're really going to focus on most. So let's try this again. So we should, how much fuel have we got left? Plenty. So we should be able to close this. It's going to fill up with gas, so you can see it filling up there. And then once it's full up with 50 kilopascals, what's it at? It's at 26. We could probably increase this. Oh, there we go. So set things on fire. And now it's outputting. And how fast is it doing it? Not fast at all. I think I broke something with the active vents, because they're really slow now. I don't even know if that's working. Maybe I got the safeties thing round the wrong way. Pressure internal. Oh, I got that around the wrong way. So the pressure internal needs to be really high, and the pressure external needs to be 0. Because this is like what its targets are. So we're going to give it another little helping hand here. You can see all the air flowing out. So the ore won't smelt currently. I haven't got onto that yet. It took me a lot longer to work on these state machines than I expected. But see how we're making like a machine here. We're making a legitimate machine. So I'm going to try this again and see what happens. So let's watch the pressure increase. We've got our pressure sensor here, so we can see everything moving on. Air's getting smashed in there. Once it gets up to 50 kilopascals, boom, catches on light, and really slowly gets removed. So I think, yeah, Simon had warned me about this. It's really slow at the moment. There's some bug. I think, with how I'm doing active vents. So I think what we'll do. Do you see that? Seal sheet's caught on fire because the air coming out of there is so hot, or it was anyway. So I think rather than relying on the exhaust vent at the moment, what we might do is do this. So rather than relying on the exhaust vent, we are going to wait for sorry. We're just going to open the glass door, but we're still going to leave it locked. So the player won't be able to override it. Open true. Then it'll wait for the pressure to go down. So it's a good compromise. So basically there's a bug with them at the moment. I could just slap more active vents in there. That's absolutely true, but you can see how that list is going to get pretty big. So let's try this again. It should be all fully automated. It's going to fill up with stuff. It's going to set it on fire, and then we're going to get burned. I'll stand here. Actually, I'm going to drop something here so we can see it catch on fire. So should be filling up. Fill up, boom, catches on fire, woof. See ya. Oh god. Oh no, everything's on fire. This is very bad. Hopefully the water put everything out. So that is why we had an exhaust vent, so we didn't set everything on fire. Also, I think the water visualizer is a bit broken at the moment. But that's a good overview of how we can do a logic controller to do that stuff. Oh, I think we've broken the... Yeah, I think we've broken the atmospheric manager, actually. I'm going to try restarting it. Yeah. So I don't know why, but basically the atmospheric manager appears completely broken. I'm going to blame Joel for that. I'm going to try give it a burst of that. So yeah, as we've started to add in items to be on fire, it has caused some issues. So I think, okay, so it's fixed itself now. I don't know why, but for some reason it's breaking. So that's all good. So I'm going to save it. We've got water in here though. Yeah, so there's something with the water. I think the water is holding atmosphere. So Pierce Death just asked a good question. So using this method, is there a way to make a thing that if the station has fire in it, an airlock will activate without pressurizing to suck the fire out? Absolutely true. You could make an override that when a gas sensor detects fire, it will do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work a little bit more, and it's going to be in Max. It's something I was working on. So you saw we had to make a computer, and it's kind of annoying because you got the screen there. A lot of times, and we're going to think about a better way of doing this, is we will have a server. So you've programmed your motherboard. You can take the motherboard out of that computer and put it in the server, and the server will do the functionality. Actually, maybe before that we should probably have a daylight sensor. I think I'll work on that first. So we don't actually need we don't actually need 3ds Max for that. Oh, sorry, I got a nasty cough.
No worries. While you're breathing, have you got time for a couple more questions, good sir?
Yep. Oh dear.
So a really interesting one that popped up is that do you guys have any plans to add any rotor or piston elements?
It sort of depends in what context. Like, as in, what are we going to do with it? So at the moment, I can't think what you'd use a rotor or a piston for. Maybe to push items, I guess. So we could do that. Yeah, that would be relatively easy for us to do, but you wouldn't be building like a wall frame on it and stuff like that, because we've got some pretty rigorous rules around, because we're trying to make it work really well in multiplayer. So, physics on more than 9 items doesn't work so good.
Okay. Another one was, are there going to be kiwi fruits in the game, and if not, why?
Probably. So at the moment you can grow wheat, but we want to expand that a little bit. So we got a motion sensor here. I reckon. So there's a couple of options. We could use the same sensor and just do slightly different things. So let's look at the motion sensor here. The motion sensor is pretty simple. Wait until not triggered. Okay, so this uses a watcher system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the motion sensor here. It goes here. Close this down. I'm going to duplicate it, and we're going to call this daylight sensor. So sorry, I need to change a lot of things about this to make it work. Yeah, so if anyone doesn't have any questions, now's a good time to ask, because I'm basically just making a whole new asset now, which is probably not that exciting.
While questions are coming in, there's a couple from earlier, which was, is there going to be a need for food and water for your stationeer, for your space buddy?
Yes, there is. So we're definitely adding that stuff. I've just realised I need to make an intermediary, which we'll just call it like a sensor. So as someone else asked, what about travelling between stations' planets? Will it be similar to Minecraft's Galacticraft? I haven't actually played Galacticraft. I'm just going to Google it now. So the way we were thinking about it. Oh dear, the first thing I see is make space great again. So it doesn't really tell me how it works, but the way we're thinking of it working is that you build your shuttle, and you build the shuttle out of pieces like Kerbal Space Program. And then you set the shuttle where you want to go. Now there's a couple of branching options we've got, and we discuss them as a team. One is that when you go to a new instance, the people in that shuttle, we actually spawn a new server instance on that machine, and we actually transition people to them. That's the most robust method. So it will spawn a new instance, and you'll go into that, so the performance of the two doesn't affect itself. Or we could make everyone have to go to the new instance. I'm not too sure where we'll go. There's positives and benefits to to each of them. So yeah, we're sort of still experimenting with that. Someone just arrived. I'm gonna go get a water. So the reason, I guess one of the most overarching focuses that we have with the game is to achieve scalability. So when you play Space Engineers, even when you play Astroneer, it's a lot about the experience, and it's amazing. We wanted to go on a different tack by compromising a lot of maybe how the game looks and stuff like that. It would allow us to have scale. The problem is, if you're on a planet and you're in space here, or you're on another planet, each time you do that stuff, a lot of factors in the game have to change. The server needs to be able to deal with them, and if it's doing all those things, then lots of bad stuff happens, and in terms of server performance and stuff like that. So that's why we're not really wanting to go down that route. I'm just trying to, here we go. So what I can actually show this is our early version work of the shuttles and stuff like that. So let's just turn off. So you can see this is an airlock piece, and you build lots of these pieces. These little round blobs are where it'll connect. This is inside the cockpit. If I unhide, I'd have to. A lot of them are, have all their collision displayed. So there's like a passenger cabin. Whoops. So you can see the passenger cabin there, where people can sit in. We want to add lots of different stuff to it, like there's a wing, stuff you can put on the side, thrusters. So if you just think about it like Kerbal Space Program, this is if you want to add your own bulkheads, stuff like that. So I haven't actually focused a lot on getting this done, because we really need completed game loops instead of just smashing stuff in the game. So the stuff's there, and I've started configuring it, but the idea was to work on these core systems before we actually got them. And yeah, turrets. So someone suggested turrets. A good game to check out would be Barrow Trauma. So Barrow Trauma is another inspired by Space Station 13. Probably, I think, the best Space Station 13 inspired game I've seen. Hopefully one day Stationeers will eclipse that. But that's amazing, because you have people in turrets going around. So we see you flying around in the ship, doing missions, like in Barrow Trauma, fighting aliens in your ship. So some of you'll be in a turret, and some of you'll be walking around inside. And if you smash it, one of those components might start leaking air. So this might have like air hopping out of it here, and stuff like that, and you have to close this bulkhead and all that kind of stuff. And there was more as well. Where is this bulkhead? I don't know why. Cargo, here we go. What's going on here? Oh, here. So yeah, like all our colliders are turned on as well. I don't know why, but yeah, that's so you'll be able to build these big complex shuttles and stuff like that. But like in KSP, we've tried to keep it quite similar. So you can see we're sort of compromising a lot of, like in a lot of the games you build the ships out of blocks, but that's a lot of blocks. And for the aim we're going for here, we're trying to go on a completely different tack from all those other games and focus on how it puts, on what you're doing, not on all the blocks, but on the systems that sit above it. That's the focus. Okay, so let's open up Sensor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bridging class so that we can replace a bunch of our logic in later on. I need to make sure. 3D Max. Really? Oh. Every time I restart Visual Studio, I have to add the window. It doesn't auto pick it up. It's really annoying. There we go. So, we've got this base class in here. Let's plop it in there. This is going to hear it from device. We can get rid of these. And we're going to make daylight sensor and hear it from device. And motion sensor. Hear it from device. So I think this should be in here. And this should be in here. These things so basically I'm trying to make a shared class between the two of them. Don't judge me. I'm just going to leave a bunch of this stuff in here. I really shouldn't. So we should probably make this public virtual and just do yield break because we're just going to override it. And then in motion sensor, that should just, we shouldn't have to do that, and we shouldn't have to do that. And this can just be that will completely override it. I feel like shouldn't. I feel like we're already defining that. That's kind of bad. I'm just going to do this. So that will stop it when reset's done. And then in here, let's get rid of this. So that should do that. We need to do on link with board. We need to move that. So I'm trying to make a base class so that a sensor is just the same. So yeah, this is C#. And don't take my code as being how you should write anything. So a lot of this stuff will need to stay the same. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to make something called Um, oh, I pushed compile, mashed my keyboard. No. No, I don't want to do that. Resharper. Thank you very much. Public override is triggered. So I'm going to try and abstract this out. So theoretically, I should now be able to plop this inside here. Watch everything I'm doing here completely break. So that's that. What else do we have in here? Grid watchers. That's all fine. On grid event, this needs to be, I think we should probably have like a start sensor, or like void shop activate sensor, and whoops. So that maybe actually it should really be wrapped in that as well, just to make sure, because we want to follow the same logic across everything. And then we can just go, because we don't want to activate it twice, we only want to activate it once. But so let's cut that down quite simply. So hopefully this actually works. So someone's asking whether we plan VR support. The problem is we get very good frame rates generally at the moment because we've done some pretty aggressive occlusion culling and stuff like that. But if we try to support VR, there's a lot of stuff that wouldn't work too well. We do a lot of volumetric lighting, which also kills potato PCs at the moment. So we want to improve that. Right. So now I've done a lot of changes. So now I want to verify that some of them at least actually work. I'm going to turn off a bunch of these. Where are we? And let's make this a bit bigger. And what do I want to check? Huh. Okay, that's weird. Got a pretty nasty error. Yeah, ouch. Cannot find pipe network 14. Yeah, so our pipe network has broken here. I don't know why. It's been a very nasty bug with that. So that's not good. Anyway, we don't need to load that one to test what I wanted. I can actually load the other one. No errors, yay. Item motion sensor. So we're going to place one of these down and we're going to see how it works. There. So see, that's working. if I throw this in here, you can see the motion sensor turns on and off, which is exactly what we want. Awesome. So now what we want to do is we want to create a new sensor that is a daylight sensor. And because we're really lazy people, we're going to use exactly the same model. So we are going to remove that component. And actually this material should be redone. Maybe I should do that now. I'm going to do that now. So yeah, really liking how the shuttles are coming along. Going to be really cool. So this is when I did oh, you guys can't see. Tee-hee-hee. So this was the drill, or is the drill, I guess. So what I want to do is bring in the motion sensor, and I want to clean it up a bit because it's got too many materials, which is bad for performance. So I'm going to find the motion sensor. Maybe it's under item motion sensor. I think we're using a separate item from the structure as well, which is kind of annoying. So we'll have to do them both separately. I should probably check you guys can still see. Yep. Whoops. Another thing I've been doing, just to help with performance, is I'm making this geosphere. So we have a, what the heck? So basically the reason that I'm doing this is because this is just an information thing, and a sphere is much better for these purposes. So this will actually get, you'll see this will actually get ported into the game. Whoops. As a sphere. Actually, I think that's fine. So what was this called? So I'm going to name the sphere collider power data connection trigger. So this this will be our new collider. We need to make sure that our always when we're making these assets, and this is all stuff that we'll have to write up for people, we have to make sure that the blue is pointing in. The blue must point in to signify the signal's going, connecting like that. So that is that, which is good. And now I need to fix the materials. Materials are all over the place. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this, we're going to plop that on there, and it's going to look awful. And we're not going to do it with that one, but we're going to do this. I can't see chat at the moment, so hopefully there's interesting questions I can get to. Yeah, okay. So basically, I'm trying to put all these on one material. Before, we were really lazy and just doing lots of materials, because you want to get this stuff in as quickly as possible. So basically, I'm now trying to optimize the model, and it's just a good rule. I don't like leaving stuff in that is sort of not done right at this point. So now we use these little texture atlases. So I am going to pull this down like this. I'm going to make everything this color. Then I'm going to collapse it. And I'm going to grab this. I'm going to shift it over. So another cool thing we're doing, so we have changing the colors, we just changed these base materials here, which is quite cool. So we're going to be able to make this emissive like that. And then now I'm actually going to grab all of this here. No, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to deselect that. So that's everything there. And I'm going to make this. I think we were making this paintable as well. Damn it. Yes, we were. I'm pretty sure previously we were making this paintable. So we should probably do that again. So that's going to be kind of naughty. It does mean that this object has 3 materials on it, which is not ideal. I'm going to call this color white. So yeah, these color swatches mean that we can really easily do some pretty cool stuff. So that's in there like that, which means that you're going to be able to paint it. And I'm just going to check that we've got this in the right spot, which we don't, because for painting, no, I think that is right. Yeah. Now what I'm going to want to do is actually change the positions for some of these here. So, sorry, change the colors slightly. It just helps make it stand out so that it just looks a lot better. That's why, because we're doing a lot of flat colors with occlusion, baked ambient occlusion. Whoops, wrong one. Color white. So we're going to just, whoops. So you see, I'm just changing the inside colors there of that just to make it pop just a little bit more. So I don't know whether I want to be super aggressive about it. Let's just do that. Awesome. And the same deal with the inside of this. We're just going to want to, you don't really see this, so I could skip this part, but we're here, we may as well do it. So I'm just going to make this a darker color, because it doesn't cost us anything at all. Awesome. So that is actually 3 materials, so that's perhaps more expensive than we'd like, but such is life. So we're actually going to, whoops, we're going to copy this, and we're going to rename it to item motion sensor. We're going to get rid of the old one. So this is the item that you'd use to construct it, and in fact, in this case, I'm not going to put color white on it. I'm going to put color grey on it, because we need them to be slightly different materials, and we can tell it not to paint that. Just something we'll do. And we'll do the same for this here. So that's much better. So we now have this motion center, we have that, which is all good. We are going to have to change the animator that we do as well. So I suspect that these are both separate things. They are. So we're going to go with the flow, and we're just going to overwrite the previous files rather than trying to clean all this up, because this is a bit of a mess. We're going to standardize the way we do a lot of this at some point. So this, we need to do this. We need to check the scale of it. I think it looks fine. My cursor's being weird, but that's okay, I guess. So let's export this. And you'll see how easy it is for us to bring in assets. So I'm actually going to bring it in completely new. I'm just going to check the chat here. Right. So we don't want the daylight sensor. Did I probably did not. Okay, so I think actually, because this is an old model, yeah, scale needs to be reset. So that scale will be fine. This scale will not be fine. So we need to reset the scale of this, and that. Scale is a pain. Scale is a big pain. And we have to rotate that. And then we have to compile it all again together. Export this. And I actually think we can have one sensor and just change between them, so that we only need one construction object, which is something we've been looking at doing. So basically, you sort of can start building something from a minimum number of kits, and you just scroll your mouse wheel to select different things that you want to construct. We're already doing that for a few things. The idea is to do that for more things. So now I want to find the model that we're going to be using. So structure motion sensor, and really it should just be structure sensor, but that's fine. So you can see now it's got boxes on it and all that good stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a motion sensor. It's going to give us a whole bunch of warnings. It's going to start trying to do its stuff. And what we're going to do is there's all these little cute little helper functions to help us. So we're going to set collision to everything. We're going to populate the open ends. Look at that, it's already found that for us. We're going to populate the colliders. So what it's done is it's replaced those colliders with proper ones. We're going to populate the materials to make sure we have the right ones. If there's no slots, we're going to populate an animator, and we're going to add interactables. So it's populated all this stuff for us and set it all up. It's gone through, it's looked at the animation, it said, oh, you need to do this, all that good stuff. It doesn't have a blueprint though, which is a problem, so we need to cover off on that shortly. So I'm just going through and I'm just double checking that everything is all good. And how do we want to remove it? Well, I think...
Sorry to interrupt, good sir.
Yeah?
We're still on 3ds Max over here.
Oh, Good point. You've been staring at 3ds Max for ages. So yeah, you missed all that. You'll get to see it again when I do the next one anyway. So now we want to link it to that. Oh, we don't want those to be looping. We don't want to have events. So build all these little helper functions to make it super easy to configure. So there's that. We also want to find, this is how we make it paintable. So you can make anything in the game paintable really easy by doing this. There's a paintable material, and we select which one of the base materials we want to paint. That one, boom. Now you can paint that, which is really cool. So building tip, and we'll say must be constructed on a frame. I'm going to go through and redo all these at some point pretty soon. I can't remember what the old one was, so I'm just gonna look for the old one and try and roughly have it the same way. So face mount, bounds, and custom. So that's what we need to have it to. Face mounting, show the bounds, and custom. So we can actually change the amount of space it takes up using that, and we can even give it extra height like that if we wanted to, because there's a few items that need that stuff. So rotation axis. So I might actually leave it on that one and just double check here. So the rotation axis of the object is only in the y-axis. So we want to restrict this so that you can only rotate it around the y-axis. It'll perform beautifully. So that's ready to replace the existing motion sensor. So we're going to do that. But I changed the structure of the object, so I need to change the animation. And you can see here it's like, ah! So we're actually going to remove this from both on and off. And we're going to go to the off. And we're in animation mode, and we're going to change the grey. Am I in off? I can't read it. Yes. So we're actually going to sort of trick it. We're going to do this because we want it to be grey when it's off, and then when it's on, we could make it blue, a massive blue. Or a massive green, which looks better. Green looks good. So now when it's off and that's on. So, and that handles everything, and it all gets synced up for us, and everything is all very, very, very good. But what we need to do is we need to generate a blueprint. So we just click that button, and it makes that cool wireframe blueprint all for us. We don't have to do anything, which is great. Oh dear. Hopefully that didn't fill that up. No, it didn't. Cool. Didn't create a blueprint. Let's just try that again. There we go. So we should have a blueprint, and we should be all good. So now I need to find a little sensor here and just make sure. Sometimes we've been losing references. Yeah, we have there. So actually I'm going to, well, for starters, this is all wrong. So we are going to fix this up. We're going to make this a multi-constructor to allow us to construct our two different kinds of things. And in fact, let's so this can be a daylight sensor. And the daylight sensor is not going to have the motion sensor script. The daylight sensor is going to have the daylight sensor script. And this is where you get to see how we configure it all up. So I do populate colliders, populate animator. Let's just check it's found the animator. Yep, we're using the motion sensor one. It's fine. Populate those, populate materials, populate slots. We want to do it with the drill. We want to make sure it draws the open ends, and we want to set collider. Now we don't have an entry tool, and that's getting mad about this, 'cause it's like, how are you going to build it? So we do need to actually tidy that up. Normally I actually do a lot of this stuff automatically. I build a script so when you push that thing it automatically names it and stuff like that, but for now I'm just going to. So all this kind of stuff will be available modding. So we'll make a scene where you can basically create that. Chuck this in here. And we're going to generate a blueprint. I don't know what this is going on about. A lot of weird errors in here. Hopefully I didn't click apply. No, I don't think I did. Weird. Okay. So, we need build state 0 has an entry tool. So we have this in here. Whoops. Our cute little constructor. We're going to get rid of a constructor because we want to do a multi-constructor, and we want to grab the correct materials because it's got the wrong materials. So we're just going to steal them from that other one. There we go. Apply. And we're going to grab, it's called a multi-constructor, which allows us to build several kinds of the same thing. So add split interactable because it's saying, oh, you need to have that, so we'll do that. Populate materials, populate colliders. I think interactables should be set up. Yep, so it's automatically added our splitting stuff. And this is going to be called a sensor kit. That's what we're going to call it. Doesn't need to have any wear action. It's not a particular slot type. Don't have a thumbnail, so we're going to need to deal with that in a minute. And side grip is fine. And this in here is where we define how it's constructible. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drag this in here like this, and drag this in here like this. I'm going to set the max quantity to 5, so you can have 5 of the kits together. And that will allow us very easily to build those two objects. So I'm now going to click apply. Motion sensor, so I'm going to connect it through like that. And this unfortunately hasn't figured out, so that's fine. I'm going to go in here inside the tools, and I'm going to define it this way, and that should fix up that. And I'm just going to give it the same building tip as I don't know why the Unity's thing is getting so mad. It's getting really mad about that. I don't know why. I think it might be because I pulled something off and replaced it. So hopefully when Unity restarts it. Oh, okay, that's why. We have 2 lots of linked motherboards. It's not good. Oh, yeah, okay, so that's why. So we should probably get rid of all this stuff. It was like doubling everything up. So that will go away and get much better now. I'm just going to quickly check the chat. Yeah. Oh, so we do actually have beards and stuff like that. And hair and all that kind of stuff, which will probably be showing off later on. Okay, so that's a bit better. So now we need to get the. Let's just maybe double check that the new motion sensor actually works. I think that would be a good place. Not the daylight sensor, but the motion sensor. And then we can go in. So someone asked about combat. So we nearly worked on combat systems. We just decided we've got a really active testing community and we wanted to fix bugs. So for the past week, quite a few of us have basically been just working on the bugs pretty heavily. So then we'll get on to combat and some other systems. Item motion sensor. I should rename that too. Item motion sensor. So this is a sensor kit. We got no thumbnail, so we need to create one. But you see, as I'm scrolling my right mouse button, I'm altering between a motion and a daylight sensor, which is really cool. So now what I want to do, throw that down there. I'm going to plug this in, and it's activating. Yay! Don't know how I feel about that green, but we can change that really easily later. At the moment, it doesn't require power either, so that's another thing. Damn it, I should have saved it, that we can fix. I also want to rename, this will break saves, but I want to rename the item motion sensor to item sensor kit. This is going to confuse the heck out of everybody. Now we've got no thumbnail, so what we're actually going to do, we made a cool tool again that we'll make available to the community as well. So all I need to do is drag this in here, set it to thumb mode, bring it up here, and I go reset position here like this. And what I can actually do is I can actually alter the item until it's how I want it to look. So yeah, so and this is how we basically automatically generate our those little icons that you see, which I think is a nice touch. Pretty happy with that, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to generate the thumbnail, and it generates it. Oh gosh, I forgot to save its position properly. So you get to watch me do that again twice. It's always better the second time. There we go. So we generated that. Going to reset the position. So if we wanted to come back in and take it again, I just click the position button and it would automatically plop it into where it needed to be. So it's pretty cool functionality. And we go back into the main game. So we know that we fixed that up that other guy up, but I'm actually a little bit not liking. I'm not liking that green that we had on the animator. So we use the animation controller here for like everything. So I think previously I actually didn't use the emissive. Maybe we could do that because it might be a bit much. I don't know. Maybe the orange would be good, or maybe if we just made it not emissive, it won't be as in your face. So we'll try that. So we've got the motion sensor. Now I want to try sensing the daylight. So what effectively we've got in here is this is having to do something pretty intense because it's doing grid watching and stuff like that. So it's watching for stuff coming in and out of the grid. We don't have to do anything near as crazy as that. What we need to do is return our current grid. Actually, I think it's cell. I think we need to return the get. So I think, where are we? So grid event. So we actually need to, so then we can do return current grid. So where are we? Get grid manager, get cell. We want to get the cell that is our current grid. Actually, I think we want to just record. Is that already? I think do we have like grid 3 or something? I'm just trying to look for something here. Let's get grid return. Still returns that. So I'm going to record. I'm actually going to set my cell. Whoops. Watched grid. And I'm going to set this to equal center position dot to grid. So that will get us our watched grid, and then from here we are going to get that cell, and we're going to actually, this is going to be a little bit more complicated. I'm fine, I've got water. Oh, okay.
I didn't know of a window because I'm not code smart.
Right. Oh, you guys still on Unity. Whoops. Okay. So now you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So basically I'm trying to... oh, someone just asked about French translation as well. So yeah, we are looking at doing French translation. What we will do if we don't do too many translations is we'll make those translation tools available for the community as well. So now I am going to find out the daylight state. So now this is going to be cell. So we're going to find out cell is like what's in there, and then we're also going to do if cell equal null, we're going to do return cell dot has light. As simple as that. And then if we didn't find a cell, we're going to grab the atmosphere, because there are two things that can record if we have light. And actually, that's a good point. Will it create a cell if we're a small grid item? Ooh, doo-doo. I need to double check this. We can check this. If not, it's going to be a problem. Yeah, something really broke in that other save. So let's close off Visual Studio for the minute. And now we're going to go into debug view. We're going to ask ourselves, where are their cells? Engage debug tooling. Okay, so this is a problem. And the daylight sensor is not going to work, because at the moment you need either a cell or a atmosphere, of which there will be neither. So that's a problem. I could always get room grids. So what we do at the moment actually is we calculate whether sun is hitting stuff on a separate thread. So this is the challenge I have, is that it won't trigger here because it needs to create another cell. I suppose I could always get whether that square is getting the light. I think I had a lighting manager that I can see. Yeah, debug light mode, cells. So this is where I can see whether or not the cells are being told that they're getting light, and I can affect this if I get rid of this other view here. So if I do item steel sheets, item steel sheet. So if I do this, you can see that that square is actually blocking that square behind it from getting the light. I don't know why filling it in. Well, I guess because yeah. So once they're blocked in, so those aren't getting daylight at all. What I could look at actually doing is adding small grids to cells, which I should probably do. So what I will do is I will make this work at the moment. I'll just make it work, but it's going to break. It's going to be broken. So it's not going to work unless you have a cell in there, which is annoying. Something I hadn't anticipated. But that's what it's all about. So he's going to get the atmosphere at the watch grid. If it doesn't equal 0, then return has light. So that is all good. Now we want to decide when we're going to check this, and we want to check it fairly regularly, but not too regularly. So what I think we might do is on override on power tick. Might do it on power tick just for the moment, because we don't have a better option. On power tick.
User joined your channel.
if is triggered. This is where we need to look at what the motion sensor was doing. We want to skip it.
User joined your channel.
If it's not the server, and we want to activate the sensor. And now I think it will start it up and it will do all its stuff. So it should just work. Actually, no, that's bad. Let's do on thread update. It's a little gratuitous because thread update runs every 1 millisecond, but we'll just deal with that. Exactly, so that's exactly right. This daylight sensor will be able to sense that the sun is on the grid square and do something with it. So we could probably actually have certain devices register themselves as well with the lighting manager to get the data, to get over this problem that I was talking about before. So yeah, the daylight sensor will only work if there's an atmosphere or a particular configuration of cells there, which is kind of frustrating, but such is life. So if we put it here, it will work. Item daylight sensor, item sensor kit. So this is our sensor kit. So it's set to daylight sensor at the moment, and I don't know why it's not detecting daylight. Yeah, that's annoying. Oh, okay. That's why. What were we doing here? We have to... This is not being called from the main thread. So that's kind of bad. We really want to do an event system where it's like on has light and stuff like that. Would be really good. So this needs to be rethought out a lot more, but for now we'll do I can't remember. I always end up googling this, not googling it, searching for it. NQ is what we want. So we're just going to queue up the and we're going to queue, whoops, activate sensor from thread. We have to do it this way. It's kind of annoying. Just because we do so much stuff threaded. So hopefully that works. But yeah, this is not super good. I think we want to have certain devices be able to register with the light manager, and the light manager will check for them and give them an event if if something's happened. That would be ideal, I guess. So yeah, that's a modest amount of work. Not impossible, but it's definitely some work. So let's do this here. So we've got the sun over here. Item steel sheets. Item steel sheet. Item gas. No, item sensor kit. Item sensor kit. So we're going to put this in here. The daylight sensor is turned on. Woo! Item airlock kit. Item kit airlock. So, see, the daylight sensor is off. And if we do this, daylight sensor is on. So we could again, oh, sorry. Okay. There we go. So what I'll actually do is I'll make it cooler to make up for that. Item wall light. Item wall light. So item cable coil. So we are going to use the logic computer. Now, actually there's a power control module that we could use to do this. That's a lot that's a lot smaller than this. Where are we? Oh, whoops. We broke it. Motherboard logic. Ay. I think we broke the actual computer. That's fine. We got the technology. Let's rip the computer up and place it back down. It's basically the Stationeers equivalent of turning it on and off again. Okay, same deal. I don't know why it's not activating. So if I do this, yeah. So we've got that ghost problem come back. But anyway, if you look at the, unfortunately because the sun's position changed, if I shut that it's not going to work. What about if I do item airlock kit? Item airlock. Item kit airlock. Item kit airlock. Thank you. So now I'm going to do this. It's too big. It's too big. Let's get rid of this guy. Bye. Whoa. Something weird happened. It looked like a Steam thing. I got disconnected. Weird. Okay, we'll try that again. I don't know what happened there. It might have been voice command activation actually. Item steel sheets. Item steel sheet. So you guys get to see what you couldn't see before. Now that I'm not being really stupid. Item kit airlock. So we're going to chuck a composite door in here, And this bit here will be all like dark and secluded. And instead of breaking everything like I did before, we're going to item sensor kit, item kit sensor, item kit sensor. That's really annoying. Wait, did I item sensor kit? I did. I named that the wrong way around. I blame Ustream actually for failing at that. So it can't see that at the moment, but if I open this door, ta-da! Off, on, off, on. But it's only because of the grid cell it's in. If we put it beside it, it wouldn't work. So that's why I'm not too happy with it. So see, it won't work there. So I really need to. It's really bothering me now. So let's go look at Light Manager. Light Manager. So we should be able to actually get Light Manager to check here. So it goes through each grid cell and it checks it. And we should be able to actually do the same thing on devices. It's probably not going to cause us that much, unless we can make a registration system. Definitely, yeah. Public list, device, light activated devices. So we're just going to make a list of devices that we're going to add to. So public void register device. Because who knows, there might be a bunch of other devices that want to have events for having light and not having light. And so we're going to do add device if and we're going to remove it. So then what we want to do, I'm going to comment this a little bit here. This is check all grid cells. So this is another reason why plants wouldn't be receiving that information. So actually my grid cells approach is a bad one. So this should be check all devices. And I think having them register is good because then we're not doing it unnecessarily. So now we want to do for each of these. Whoops. And we want to do device equals. So we're actually doing an aborted for loop here, not device. Interesting. So we need to make another version of check light occlusion. Okay, so yeah, we can pass in a vector 3, which is good. I'm just double checking here. We need to pass in a grid cell. So now we want to do check light occlusion vector 3. And then we want to do actually, I think we want to do this. We want to do device, and we want to do device.hasLight. Sunlight device dot get grid that should work. It should work. So now for that object we then just go check light occlusion device. That should work. So now all we need to do is make sure that, like with the motion sensor, how when it's created and removed, we just need to make sure that it, we've already got it's registered there, but we need to make sure that with Light Manager we register it. Really? Come on. I mean, this could be static. I probably should have figured that out first. Why is it doing that? Why? It's weird. Don't be weird, Visual Studio. Register this and deregister this. We don't want to do that. And we have a thing called watch grid, which is what we should actually use here. Doesn't matter. No, that's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So that should check. That should check it now, I think. But we then want to change this from doing all this shenanigans here. Actually, we want to create an event on this called public virtual void on sunlight, or on has sunlight. And public virtual void on lost sunlight. So now we want to in here, so initial equals device.hasLight. If not equal initial, then if device has light, else, and we're going to actually run the event on it, which is just a much better way. So that should run all that, and I can clean this up much better later on as well. We don't need that anymore. Actually, we don't need that anymore. It's just going to be return has light. Nice and simple. And we certainly don't need this anymore. And I should really extend this to just general structures, like nearly anything should be able to add, but it's kind of like a matter of, you just do it in little increments, you just slowly head forward. So if not has authority, this means that it only runs on the server. So as I said before, so much of the game only runs on the server, which is really good for anti-hacking and performance as well. So then if has height, we can do is triggered. Cool. So that now should work. It's not basing it on cells at all. It's basing it purely on being activated. It's been a pretty mammoth stream, but you can see what we're dealing with here. Let's just see how it's going. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh blurp, blurp, blurp. This is a thread issue. So we're using getGrid, which I don't like. I can probably use current grid. I'll just have to make sure that it's set properly. Light manager. Yeah, so I'll have to use device.currentGrid. And I'll just have to make sure that current grid is set properly in here. Don't need that. So hopefully that works. And doesn't break everything like it was before. Right, so we've still got a problem. Right, same problem as last time. We're not activating it on the main thread. Good point. Well raised. I think probably the best way for us to do that would be in here instead of doing this. On has sunlight could actually be an enumerator. Whoops. And then we do unity thread dispatcher.instance.enqueue, which is a little tactic that we use to do stuff on the thread that without breaking everything. So that should allow us then so yield break. We're just going to completely override it, and that should function just fine now. At least we know it was working effectively. So we should definitely be able to figure it out. And I'll probably stop the stream soon, so if you have any questions, make sure you post them. Yeah.
There's a couple of small questions left over from earlier. You got
Yep.
a sec?
Sure.
So, are there any plans for any land vehicles, like a Land Rover?
Yes. There are plans. But we're not entirely sure what it will mean. Yay, so it's worked.
Woo!
See? So it's working. Yeah. So the individual devices will get their messages now. So that all works. And the next thing I'd probably do with that is make them function based on power, so that they require power, because at the moment they don't. Awesome. So thank you everyone for the stream. It's been great fun.
Yeah, this has been pretty awesome.
Next week we'll probably show more of the character. I think you can kind of see the character has here. Yeah, you can. If I take his helmet off. Whoa. So you can see, my eyebrow's disappearing a little bit, but you can see the little character there who's slowly dying. Looks much better than what we had before. Whoa. I don't know what the heck happened there. Oh yeah, so the character in here is moving independently of everything else. Oh, and I'm starting to die here. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.